Xenia was waiting for him, naked in Nyx. In the light she was beautiful, once she was not. He noticed her from pictures and the hives on her skin, a histamine reaction to a fleshed-out idea. "We should make love," he said, taking her hand. In the rush, his Venus flytrap got crushed in a drawer, and their dogs, well, they escaped out the door. Finally, together they embraced face to face, and they led. Into the night he was welcomed, never to fear it again, as the outside dark was the same inside as him. He walked away from the ruins of his old town, found a clearing, and brick by brick built himself a new house. Those who journey wear many guises in life. Those who don't are pretty much the same as they've always been. We, constructors of language, unknown to those who hate our words but want to speak as we do, see too that chapters of one's life can be found to be written before the written word was wrote or spoke. The artist remembered when Paris rejected Hera and chose Aphrodite. He wondered if all this was payback from the scorned Queen Almighty. If so, the long grass now stretched high from home. His wife's words wheezed through cosmic dust. Higher she is love, lower she is lust. Sophia was waiting for him returning, and he her. That night they made love as awkward as the first time as boy and girl. Like fumbling teenagers under covers in the darkness, she could be anyone, but she preferred to be the darkness. On the second night, Eris echoed, on the third, Athena. On the fourth night they met at the crossroads and slept side by side. Incoming humans are an abomination diatribe, but today it's just the men. Actually, it's usually just the men. So, without alcohol or drugs, how on earth would people get into their roles? Truth has no home when surrounded by liars. When "war is coming" was cried, it had no effect on a generation already dead inside. Now Hera spoke through the nervous system with the tool of lapis lazuli, also known as the outer expression of the inner compass. "Remember your training," the seer spoke as promised. After working out the language, Hera told the artist to take the week off. "Well, at least can I take notes?" he asked, "if I take the week off?" Behind the eyes one can be anywhere. Just don't burst the pupil. And don't waste your time seeing the best in the worst of people. The body is Mount Olympus, and its gods is the parts that make it up. For real. You couldn't make this up. Hear the sun sing for ships within the unified field where everything's available at one's fingertips as soon as sight's real. So saunter closer, but only accessible to those who've learned to navigate the quantum ocean. He who wants nothing is worth more than anything. So let tasks veer on past, as the once murky depths are now as clear as glass. The artist needled, then wielded his drum and beat her like a sword and shield. "What do you see?" Hera asked. He replied, "Within this space we are one, mother, son." "Well done," she answered, "the game is won." Watch and observe the cause and effect. 5 pieces of silver and good deeds done. The prison guards stalked the corridor, swinging the keys, but the prisoner knew his time was soon to be free.
The world was better when I was younger.
The old people say of the times the young people are living in. And then the young people become old and say the same, and the cycle continues again. From love they starve with hunger, becoming flush and bland. The cleaner swept the floor like a heartless warlord, cleansing humanity with his brush and pan. When one cannot be bought by money, seduced by sex, or terrified by death, one is free. See? They who point the lens at themselves show not the world them, but how they wish to be seen. The artist had lived 3 lives in his life found, alphabetically as R-S-T, numerically as 912, and vowels as I-A-E. What of the mouse now? One who cannot control a boiling pot risks burning themselves and possibly their house down. Like Hephaestus, who built tools for others to work with, the artist created foundations that others could build upon. To mark that fact here, he was the architect. The fates huddled. Many women had stood between him and the Great Mother. From Earth to the planets to the constellations, he took a return flight. The mysteries of life hidden in plain sight. He followed the water under the bridge which led to undiscovered lands called pristine. That moment as a painting on a school wall called In the Shadow of the Bridge Above by Christine from Form 5816. Don't expect the jester to be anything other than funny. Don't expect the idiot to be anything other than stupid. The fire that burned in the artist forged resilience. He had dwelled in the shadows for so long he had become them and absorbed their brilliance. His yell a distorted howl. If some men found him a frightful sight before, God help them when they saw him now. There are those shunned who curl up and die, and there are those shunned who persevere, who never give up, who become masters of their craft, not for fame and fortune, but as a means to destroy those who shun them. The soldier whispered in his ear with an elated flare, "The weapon to end the world is completed, sir." Hephaestus is Capricorn, Zeus is Sagittarius. One world goes that way, the other mirrors it. That night he hung out with the dead kids up in the clouds who opened up their wrists like zips. After 20-odd years, the artist's guardian turned now that Hera was in control. So let's see how this storyline goes. Judas. For the crown of the left-hand path, bridges were burnt and all the laughter ceased. If his life was watched from the emotional level, the viewers would have witnessed a nautical masterpiece. Yes, it may be called The Dog Who Mauled Itself. And when accepting the award, he'd start with, "First, I'd like to thank God for all her help." She whispered, "Remember the September before the flood? It was I who baptized you with it. I opened the gates. I, the great cleanser. I, the mother of cleaners." He ought to have seen it. Maybe next time. As the Mad King's shadow encroached, he wondered what shape it would take this time. What would he be asked to prove? And who would he see when the mask was removed? She continued, And those who sail the diseased seas without life jacket will see why I had to do what was done. Reset to zero. Launcher of the ship and lover of the hero. In his left ear a strong hissing. With the holiday over, the artist flipped the sign from closed to gone fishing. He turned the switch dimmer clockwise for the first time since winter, and the 33 points of light of the body gradually shone bright, as so 31 within, one above, one below. With the darkness clear, "Thank you," he breathed to the seer. In the room of life his roots ran deep and strong, unwavering if it were not for his wings of song. We must reconstruct, recall boxing Helena. He bled black and red, so inside he was dark sienna. Hera shrouded him in her peacock form. Now even in sleep he would be within her arms. And like this he saw her everywhere. Now he walked at the feet of the trees he had only seen from a distance, and remembered that upon the golden triangle answers could be found if one had practiced with persistence. Each swing of the mighty axe sung death to the world, built by his dreaded hand. Upon the corpses he ordered of his wife's mistresses and despondent daughters. The dying dog of winter respawned as a rabbit to greet Persephone, who returned as if by habit. The old links to Kronos were now severed. The dark mother she waited, her of the shadows, her occulted and hidden, her and her army, who had been training the forgotten sons of earth here to take it back. Her. True, the gears creaked with rust as the struggle ended with trust. The witches around the table cackled. Ushwea, Tierra del Fuego, El Mundo. The sons defeated he by overcoming themselves. And here stood the artist as he was, as an early teen, but instead of the devil, now beside him the mother, unseen. So, for those voyages setting out, beware the sneak attack when returning home. Judas! Note the law. She was the sea on which he had to sail and not be pulled under and drowned like those men who had come before. He read a quote carved in oak. Women know, but they don't know they know, and the men who know you'll never know. That night he slept in white clouds, but from then on he was cloaked in Juno's shroud. To the new world she was Juno Regina, but when they spoke she was Juno Moneta, the constructor of trials to test the Heracles of one's links. She who straightens out men, ironing flat the wrinkles and the kinks. Once just vengeful wife and source of strife, now mother to worlds anew. Right. And he, who? Once limping outcast, now fire god too. Jeez, what a force to be appeased. The shadow of the Mad King could freeze one and cause indecision, however subtle. Juno whispered, "As he approaches, communication between us may be muddled." As the artist walked the avenues, prostitutes appeared at their windows presenting their goods. Not even close. Remaining faithful, it was Sophia he chose. Within the beat of his heart, he sat on its seat and listened to everything until he found peace, then noted to copy. In the silent darkness, he floated on nothing, exactly the same. And those who shot arrows were quick to regret it as they bounced back in the direction they came. Juno touched his ring finger, like electric it spread to his heart. There she placed a horseshoe proclaiming, "Lovers, I now pronounce you never to part." The artist turned and gazed at the photo just taken. The lake, the stage, the weigh-in station, and he, holding up the biggest fish he had ever caught. A composition. The one that had won the competition. A return to normality. A return to what was and what was always meant to be. One. The empty throne beside the queen was not awaiting a king, but a son. And there lay his own domain in his given name, and on the MAP he sat saying, "So it be." The three great cities of music, art, and poetry. At the feet of the year, the snake was about to consume its tail yet again. Then back to the head they would go, a cylindrical, ever-moving flow. Where they were from, they carved their stories into their flesh, so they wouldn't forget where they were from, who they were, and what they were here to do. Well, so went the song they sung every day called They. The artist looked at Juno and their bond, and a sudden revelation it did dawn. It was for you. The second descent to hell was for you. I was too embroiled to see. Juno replied, "It was all for me." Talk could not be said of it. When she was Jocasta and he was Oedipus. The space between the doing of things, the space between the books, the space between as the place unseen where things slot into their nooks. A petal threatened to bloom. As Persephone walked the long road out of Hades, huffed and blew. And the earth didn't know if to shine or darken, or what in the hell to do. The light stung. But he flung through though. Note, stories where the main characters are a mother and son duo. On descending the mountain, the artist noticed the name he had scrawled before. Not his own, but his saintly friend who had died and had spent some time communicating from the other side. A swollen ear, hearing gone, and an ache in the Piscean toe. For certain. Serious. He walked upon a reconstructing inverted pyramid. Those who create a false character of themselves will be destined to act it out, and with slack mouth shout, "Not say me!" Only stopping when faced with a mirror and utterly disgusted at what they see. He entered the Halloween of his life with the frozen corpse bride and hope. When the ice melted, they emerged from the cryogenic chamber into a new life through smoke. The artist was given the directions to Delphi, both mythological and historical, and there he met the priestess of Apollo, also known as the Oracle. Above the pit she sat on a swing that swayed with the answers of yea, nay, maybe. The voice of Hera, now Juno, echoed through time way back. I love shadow work, she had said, just as the artist was enrobed in black. Who dies this day? He donned a Hephaestion costume to keep lustful eyes at bay. The obliterated pigeon, feathers spilt like white paint across footpath and road. The offering of its life so another must live and fulfill a destiny greater than its own. Time erases the lines from the script unneeded, and what's left is the story told. On the blood moon he bled from the other world umbilical hole. At the base of the volcano, Vulcan crafted his best creation yet, and Juno read the story of the lady she once was and who he thought he had met. But oh, how easy we forget. The artist gazed out as the life of spring battled the death of winter. Bleak nihilism rang in his ears and all was beautiful. His once perfect gait turned into a limp as his right knee seized and ached. He smiled through the pain and bandaged it up. His spine, once straight as could be, now bent into a hunch. Perfect, all going to plan. The devil, once Peter Pan, was now a frail old man. On the other side of frustration and worthlessness were peace and glory found, although the space betwixt those states varied between seconds, years, and sounds. How true it was to see that absolute truth was what one wrote with to set one free. This place, the dark, the realm of magicians, the cauldron of alchemy, the wait, the pause, the lateness, the secret ingredient of greatness. Warning, the devil comes for men early in the morning, saying, well done, you have fertilized an egg and will be given the title father. In her womb a flesh prison forms, a prison within a prison within a prison, for a soul to inhabit for the duration of its sentence. We hope the many hardships it faces aren't enough for it to kill itself, as it will have to come back and serve that sentence again, or get its children to do it for them. Then consider this the brochure they forgot to give to boys the day they became men. His first lover and his mother, two aspects of the same in different colors. On the cusp they swing, both born in the bosom and the bust of spring. Juno displayed how she could drop the veil and make people see what she wanted them to see. After the dark father, it is all me, said she. In the attic he found a relic, the lost heart of gold. He thought he'd thrown it out, but it had been there all along, but laid unseen. The golden light emanating from the throne was that of the many women who made a queen. Meanwhile, in the muddy fields, the male matriarchy screamed, shame the men for their filthy minds. Have them stripped and flaccid in public, in front of their crying children and smiling wives. Then split the penis from the top point in half, while all the females they've ever fantasized about stand in a circle and point and laugh. Then take their heads, ragged neckskins spewing blood, and make them kiss just like the men they had made fun of. The artist awoke while the world slept without sun, realizing he still carried the wars within that without had been won. He released them into the mouth of the Great Mother, who swallowed them whole, and transformed them into fertilizer for the new world they had both fought so hard to bring about and call home. He forgave those who had wronged him. They know not what they do, just as I had known not what I'd done, but now I do. Why fight for harmony only to simmer with hate? To ice the suit turned. He burnt his plans for revenge, for it was only he who burned. In the silence the sound ceased, and as the smoke evaporated behind it, he found peace. The limp and hunch that he had welcomed back abated, for he carried not the weight of vengeance. Sinless he stood tall in the light of forgiveness. Right well, I suppose I may be off, Anthena said. I was only hanging about as I assumed we were going back to war, but now that you have passed, my services aren't needed anymore. The artist had been wondering why she was still there. He looked to Juno. Some things one only finds when they step careful. And as Athena walked away, she transformed into Minerva. Before he had found harmony between the islands, although it seemed like always when he had it, it was gone before he knew it. And so, what islands were left between here and home? Aphrodite, once walking, talking, alluring as a queen is, now shrunk down to a small statue sealed in with glaze and called Venus. As before, be cautious when choosing peace. The world doesn't try to drag you back to war. Hephaestus' revenge on Hera was to disguise himself as his mother's lovers and break her heart into pieces. Holding the parts, he vowed to destroy them if he wasn't allowed his rightful place upon Olympus. He always loved the smell of a chimney, a fire, a struck match. And what of that burning in his tongue? Hera didn't cast him out for what he was, but what he would become. The fall, the lies. She never counted on him becoming a master of disguise. She never counted on him becoming anything besides a no one, an unknown one, into two split until he did. Everything you've heard about me is wrong, was how his book opened, each word like stretching sinew. But now I'll tell you the true story, it continued. It was supposed this was the beginning of the gods being exposed. Looking to the night sky now, he said to Juno, I want my place up there with the rest of the heroes. I want my own constellation of the anvil and hammer, and each star that makes it up named after each person who made me who I am today. So big it seems nearest, honoring the work and perseverance it takes for one to be free. The story of Athens and how the mystery cult comes to you. The story of Venice and how something so similar can always seem so new. The artist listened to his heart. I will one day stop, it said, but not you. The elegance of the grand intelligence. Commander Lynch asked, where's within? The artist closed his eyes and went to that place within. but it was no longer there. It was everywhere. No start, no end, just here, just now, forever, eternal, home. The place where nothing matters, for everything is perfect as it is. See, where all one must do is be. The nameless forever that we give a name to, such as one. Love. The greatest artists know this, and every river sings. Those who do nothing do everything. There was naught to worry about. There never was nor had been. And here peace was found, when the once prison of the body opened its heart to the soul of the world, and it ripped it apart. And unlike those frozen men, he need not close it again. See, I'm not so mad now, said the mad king, who out of hell had accompanied he. It's just that since the purification you've been a bit much. Well, maybe it's time I purify too. Then you wouldn't be the mad king. No, I would just be the king. But I'm too colorful a personality for such a little song to sing. So how about the wily king? They agreed. And the wily king told him he had visited here 3 times a year for the last 6 to see if he was ready to leave. And finally, on his 16th visit, he was told that he was free. Who's that lady behind you? He asked the wily king. Oh, that's just my friend Venice. She has accompanied me today to see what the man she had heard all about looked like. Nice to meet you, they greeted each other, and he wondered who she looked like. The wily king chained and locked the gates behind him, clanging loud but soft. That's that, he said, as he dusted his hands off. Opening the door, spring sprang before them. Earth reborn once again, as was he before them. Some words, and don't ignore them. The warlords of the lower realms wish for you to rest your eyes upon them, for in doing so you fight their wars for them. But those who fought the war within know well the war is won. So look up, look up. You've made it across to the place you've only dreamed of. Across the border to peace and love. Across to... He awoke the next morning to the voice of Zeus in his ear. We'll make a garden out of you yet, son. Well, a garden would be nice, he replied, and inquired on seeds and how to get some. He was surprised Zeus was still talking to him, as inspired by Kronos and Uranus, he had severed his father's genitals, and in a bloody hand he held them unembarrassed, then spread them in water. The green and pink light of his heart, when combined, made terracotta. The loneliness of being one eternal, so one must separate to 2. Then 2 to 3, then a family, and here one finds oneself. Now, so seek none. The head Perseus returned with was that of the monster he had become, capable of turning to stone those who got too close. A monster made by men with lustings uncontrollable, like the crashing seas of Poseidon. A monster with obsessive thoughts like hissing snakes that just won't shut up. A monster whose head must be taken for peace of mind to reign again. And if this were a story, the title would be loosely The Rape of Perseus and How He Became a Gorgon Called Medusa. And all who read it, who were as Poseidon, would turn to stone. And all who read it, who were as Perseus, would be free. And they would gaze within Medusa's eyes, saying, "Yes, that was once me." The closed hearts of those outside love, the open of those in. From the diaries of Athens, midwife to the mysteries, these men who once were animals, then those seemingly powerful see them naked to take their power. Those seemingly powerless see them dressed to know who they really are. Feel the fire cool at one's core. What a delight to play the fool once more. He walked the golden triangle, then through the forest. Captain Herring Sterling flew overhead. "That's my work done, I'm off," he said. And the artist noticed how clear the path now was, and the chirping of birds. When praying to God, be mindful to discern which aspect of it you offer your words. They fell from Olympus, separating as they did, past constellations and planets to earth through them, merging with bodies awaiting that now mirrored their journey to them. On her lap he gave thanks. He looked back and saw he had traveled the map of the Ankh. The journey there, across the threshold, around the other world, and out where he had entered, the center, the heart, the F-sharp chime, the other world being the circle of eternity, this one being the straight line of time. In the age of Christ, he would have said to have died on the cross of his old life, represented by the body he had lived in until that point alive, hung upon the map on which he had journeyed to arrive where he was, like when one hangs their coat upon a door they've just walked out of. As the titles rolled, although he had the starring role, it wouldn't have been possible without all those involved. Like any good actor knows, they were the real stars. He now played the double flute as the twice-born do, and the children sang and danced behind him too, and the darkness became lighter. Speaking of which, a special thank you to our author, Mr. E.S. Piper, for such great material to work from, sir, and happy belated birthday for the 22nd of the 3rd. He sat in a cafe, enjoying food and a cup of tea, just like old times, the trusted lamp. Walking down the street, the final chords of wicked game faded from a busker's amp. It was, he thought, as the song dissipated, but one in which he had willingly participated. Well, most of the time, but at least he had not missed. The silent O in Oedipus is for the shape one's mouth makes when they get to the plot twist. He reminisced about the time he spent in Athens, his one night in Delphi, and even his period in Thebes, which, although fraught, had been a real turning point in his life, from 100 to naught. The feminist song. If he never traveled again, he was glad he had these memories to reminisce on. Oh, stop! His name was Gutman Fortuna, but everyone called him Gut Fortune here at the top. At the top, the people were vivid and alive. At the top, he conversed with the devil for who he had once played the fool. Awakening from the secondary sleep, in his own bed, Good Fortune felt the entirety of his body from the outside in, feeling the skin skeleton, nervous system, organs, blood and soul, and how they merged with that of the world without restriction, held within glittering gold. New terror. That day he started a new book for a new era. For the first dawn in many years, he filled it with song, singing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning," and the world sang back, "Good fortune." His teeth ached, his ears swam, but such was expected in those days of the Ram. Those who defied the great mother of birth and marriage would face her wrath. The word hero originating from those who survived enough to laugh. With the flow gone, liters of water passed Good Fortune's lips, rehydrating the body which had laid dormant for so long. He gazed at man, the twin peaks of the first letter, the secret passage of the second, the sheer incline and final step off into the unknown of the third. This was the journey itself, hidden in the word. But the benign couldn't see. The two faces of Neptune represented divine unity of impossible depths. In those moments, the only words "nothing matters" meant the most in the most positive sense. Good Fortune lay between sleep and wake, connecting the pulse points of his lower abdomen and wrists. He looked out from his heart as each beat quaked. A priestess, entwined with a snake, knelt by a lake, gazing into it closer. The seer, the conduit, the quantum ocean. He was then in school. "Well done, you got a V," his walking workmate reported, wearing kinda blue, as she sat behind him in the class called Language 2. The teacher from 7th level English gave him a packet of sunflower seeds, which turned into buttons as she poured them into his hands like beads. The Son of Heaven, now a master of language that spoke between two worlds, from the levels of 1 to 7. He rose and entered the incubator of healing. The caduceus was placed upon him, and he was bathed in the silver-grey light of healing. Arising, he now knew the conduit, its powers, and how to use it. He activated the inverted pyramid which had reconstructed, upon which he walked. He activated the heart torus that surrounded his body, in which he lived as such. And then he went and made his lunch. From the anxiety-inducing scale of the world, with all its dramas that dragged him into them, to his own little place of peace, where the ends of the earth could be no more than where the water lapped the shore. Oh, the dear old lion. After the cowl, a vision of the all in its magnificent form of the rainbow dragon, a sustained flash as it rose to meet his eyes. All the missing parts that had been cast over earth were together again, completely raised, and in the sky the sun hung again, and now the one song could be sung again, and sung long. And if this were a story, its title may be The Quest for the One Song. And if a tune started playing 5 minutes and 55 seconds ago and was coming to an end, maybe it would be Je d'or, some feet. And if this were a video game, the words on the screen would read complete. Then the one song would play, which would be silence. building to subtle surges from which everything else emerges. The art of Athens, beautiful and magical, a voice unmuted. The new rebellion suited and booted. The horrible truth that man was not ready to hear but shall as well. That heterosexuality was a mutation to maintain prisoners in hell. A boat that had sailed too far from the shore of heaven to dwell there where the sane go. Good fortune walked out of school followed by a black cat under the full arc of a rainbow. Dead to the world they called life. Alive in the world they called death. The school's motto was, so that they may have life. Praise the Lord. His was, carpe rimum, seize the oar. What he gave, he got back, and his balance was restored. Nice work. And he was granted security to continue his life's work. With his V for Vita, he bid them V for Veil. As for his seminal work, it was called Sapientia Retinenda. And as we approach the ending, please, let's all breathe in, hold, and release. Asterix. Echoes of who he was before attempted to howl, but the voices were subdued as he stood, placing his hand on his heart, and he said anew, thrice freed from vice, hate nor fear reside in this temple, only love. Hate nor fear reside in this temple, only love. Hate nor fear reside in this temple, only love. The one love that thou had purified thy body for, so it may dwell within. The one love that thou had searched longingly for throughout life. The one love, the one song, the one they all wish to sing. And the people of the land bowed to love, filling their lungs they sang in unison, oh the brave. From pages found entitled Notes from the Third Day in the Cave. Look up, friend. Upon the beauty of the world gaze and become it. It was true what they said. The good die young, and an artist's work is never truly appreciated until they are dead. He took the night shuttle from the heights back home with an ETA of 72 hours or so. As he passed through the various stations, passengers from there came and went. Although he tried to rest through most of it by sleeping, he was kept company with a dog-eared copy of the Aeneid. 3 times Sophia visited and lay with him her divine wisdom, saying, when two have sex, they can make love or make life. Love ends where life begins. The light may save, but the keys to freedom lay within the darkest caves. With that, the stone rolled sideward, the entrance open, but only for a limited time. Vitae, he announced, and give it some lime. Good fortune stood and stretched, looking back at the darkness behind him and the light in front. Forward he stepped, ignoring the voices of doubt from no place on earth, embracing the non-linear process of birth. And at 10:33 a.m. on the 29th of the 3rd, good fortune was born into the world of his father the artist and his mother Sophia. So be it, and so it was done.